Te varmaan olette joskus kuulleet Bohemian Grove tämmöisestä tapahtumasta, joka on tuolla Kaliforniassa metsässä, jonne kerääntyy maailman silmää tekevät rikkaat poliittiset päättäjät. Siellä on Skulls and Bones jäseniä, vapaamuurareita, sotilaita muuten vaan, maailman rikkaita oligarkkeja, mutta etenkin amerikkalaisia ja Trilateral-komission jäseniä, niin edespäin. Siellä on myös viihde-ihmisiä Hollywoodista, median puolelta ympäri maailman. Ja ne siellä tämmöisessä riitissä syö hyvin useita päiviä. Ne sanotaan, että ne lenkkeilee vaan tälleen niin kuin mukavissa merkeissä ja on luonnon helmassa. Mutta sitten jostain kumman syystä ne palvoo tämmöistä valtavaa pöllöä siellä metsässä. Ja sitten toiset lähteet kertoo vähän enemmänkin hurjia tarinoita, miten siellä olisi jopa tämmöisiä vähän science fiction elokuviin liittyviä rajuja kamppailuja, jopa elämästä ja kuolemasta, kun nämä ihmiset ei enää arkielämässään kohtaa haasteita ja vaikeuksia, niin sitten nämä jotkut lähteet sanoo, otetaan tämä nyt vielä vähän viihteenä leikille, että siellä sitten olisi ainakin osalle tämmöisiä Dead or Alive-kilpailuja. No joo, tiedäpä todennäköisesti siellä ainakin sitten sovitaan suuria linjoja maailmanpolitiikkaan, sotiin, kauppaan, tieteeseen ja tutkimukseen ja viihteeseen ja mitä media kertoo. Se on nyt ainakin varmaa. Tässä on tämmönen amerikkalainen kaverin tekemä aika kiva yhteenveto siitä, että opit mikä on Bohemian Grove, ketä siellä käy. Ja se on yksi tämmönen vallan näkymätön taho, piilovaltaa edustava järjestelmän osa, vähän niin kuin Bilderberg-kokoukset tai tietyt Davos ynnä muut asiat tai Trilateral-komissio. Kato tää, se on englanniksi. Ei ollut nyt ehkä tilaisuutta ajallisesti kääntää, mutta me luotetaan, että te olette fiksuja englantia osaavia ihmisiä. Katsotte sen ja kommentoidaan sen jälkeen, että mitä sä oot mieltä tästä Bohemian Grove-systeemistä. Onko se ihan niin kuin meidän oikeusvaltioperiaatteen demokratian mukainen vai ei? Mielellään otetaan teidän kommentteja vastaan ja videota saa jakaa niin kuin aina. Kiitti, että katot. Moro!
What do Richard Nixon, Jack London, David Packard, Walter Cronkite, Herbert Hoover, Michel Rocard, George Bush Sr. and Clint Eastwood all have in common? Are they A. all American, B. all dead, or C. all one-time members of a shadowy secret society that carries out creepy and possibly satanic rituals in the woods at night? Well, let's see. Unless my timing with this video is really bad, then Clint Eastwood should still be alive, so that's B out. And former Prime Minister Michel Rocard was more French than frog's legs, so A's out as well. Which leaves us with C. But that obviously can't be true. I mean, all those important and respected men running around in the woods as part of some shady Illuminati-like organization? That would be insane. Actually, it is insane, because it's 100% true. Every single one of the people I just mentioned, presidents, actors, leaders of industry, celebrated writers, was, at one time or other, a member of the Bohemian Club. Perhaps the most powerful private organization in existence, and also one of the most controversial, thanks to its reputation for doing some, shall we say, unusual things when the world is looking the other way. The Bohemian Club was founded in San Francisco way back in 1872 by a group of journalists with an interest in the arts. But over the course of its near 150-year history, the demographic of its members has shifted dramatically. The artists are still there, But these days, the journalists have mostly been replaced by a generous helping of some of the most influential men alive. We're talking multiple US presidents, CEOs of the world's largest companies, Ivy League university directors, curators of renowned museums, leading scientists, and a whole host of prominent politicians and policymakers from across the globe. It used to be said that if you weren't on the waiting list for membership by the age of 30, you'd be dead before being accepted. But it isn't just a long list of illustrious members that makes the Bohemian Club so intriguing, because every year a couple of thousand of its members descend on a private tract of redwood forest in Northern California for what can best be described as a 2-week scout camp with a twist. That twist being remarkable amounts of alcohol, a series of bizarre rituals, and some of the world's most powerful men in drag. Welcome to Bohemian Grove. The camp kicks off every year in the same strange and slightly terrifying fashion, with the ritual burning of a human sacrifice. I meant with the ritual burning of a human effigy in sacrifice. Sorry, that was quite an important difference, wasn't it? This ceremony, known as the cremation of care, is purely symbolic. The effigy represents the club members' many cares and responsibilities. By burning it, the worries of the outside world are banished. To spice things up a bit, the whole ceremony takes place under the watchful gaze of a towering 12-meter owl statue, the Bohemian Club's mascot. This giga owl takes an active part in the ceremony too, speaking in the pre-recorded voice of legendary newsreader Walter Cronkite. And just in case all of that wasn't weird enough, Bohemian Club members who take part in the ceremony all wear what look like Ku Klux Klan robes that someone accidentally put through the wash with a red sock. It probably sounds like I'm making all of this up, but seriously, the cremation of care ceremony happens each and every year to open the Bohemian Grove camp. Alex Jones of InfoWars fame even managed to film it once after sneaking into the Grove back in the year 2000. Scarily enough, having witnessed the ceremony firsthand, Jones was convinced it wasn't an effigy that was being burnt at all, but an actual living human child, sacrificed by these men who rule the world as part of some disturbing occultist ritual. Once the cremation of care is out of the way and everyone's worries have been thoroughly incinerated, the camp truly begins. The location itself is stunning, by the way. Nestled amongst towering California redwoods, the world's largest trees. Bohemian Grove is big enough to house several thousand club members simultaneously. There's an open-air dining circle that can seat 1,500 people, and as for sleeping arrangements, there are a dozen or so smaller camps spread across the site, each with its own distinct reputation and famous patrons. George Bush Sr., Walter Cronkite, and NASA astronaut Frank Borman are known to have favoured a camp known as Hillbillies, and Herbert Hoover was a long-time occupant of Caveman. Make of that what you will. This picture from 1967 was taken at breakfast in a camp called Owl's Nest, one of the most prestigious. Harvey Hancock is the one in the middle. He was Eisenhower's campaign manager during the 1952 American election. The guys sitting on either side? Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon. Oil magnate Edwin Pauly and Nobel Prize-winning chemist Glenn Seaborg are also present. So, how do these masters of the universe spend their 2-week sojourn in the forest? Aside from burning children alive, obviously. Well, there are daily lakeside talks given by important club members and regular entertainment in the form of high and low jinks, which are basically just performances of various kinds, usually comedy or music. But what Bohemian Grove is really all about is getting hammered. then urinating, both frequently and aggressively. The first drink of the day, a gin fizz, is served in bed by camp staff, and the alcohol keeps on flowing until long after the sun's gone down. Unsurprisingly, considering Bohemian Club members are almost exclusively gentlemen of advanced years, with prostates the size of medicine balls, there's a lot of visits to the little boys' room. Or at least there would be, if there actually was a little boys' room. Bohemian Club members urinate exclusively in the great outdoors, a privilege so important to them they've even fought to defend it in court. I'll get to that in a minute. With so many influential people rubbing shoulders, you're probably assuming that plenty of important business deals and world-altering policy decisions are made at the camp every year. But the club is strict when it comes to talking business. Its motto is, "Weaving spiders come not here." A line from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream that warns that Bohemian Grove isn't supposed to be used as an opportunity to network or do business deals. But like basically all mottos ever, this one is widely ignored. Plenty of people go to Bohemian Grove with an agenda, and whilst most of the earth-shattering decisions that have been made during boozy nights amongst the redwoods are remembered only by those involved, a few have become public knowledge. For example, rumour has it that an early planning meeting for Manhattan Project, including the likes of Robert Oppenheimer and Nobel Prize-winning physicist Ernest Lawrence, took place during the 1942 iteration of Bohemian Grove, directly leading to the invention of the atomic bomb. Earth-shattering indeed. By the way, if all this important people get together to do weird stuff in the woods business is sounding kind of familiar, it may be that you're a House of Cards fan. In Series 5 of the Netflix show, Frank Underwood, played by Kevin Spacey, goes on an outdoor retreat with a fictional secret society known as Elysian Fields, which draws heavily on Bohemian Grove. The episode opens with a parody of the cremation of care ceremony, complete with a giant talking crow statue and the burning of a human effigy. Elysian Fields has a motto too: "Buzzing bees do not sting here." It's a minor miracle the Bohemian Club didn't sue. Considering the guest list, you won't be surprised to learn that security at the Grove is taken very seriously. The Redwood Enclave is watched over by what can best be described as a small private army, kitted out with high-tech gear, including thermal cameras, night vision goggles, and both motion and vibration sensing alarms. The US Secret Service has also been known to lend a hand from time to time when the guest list demands it. I should probably mention that Bohemian Grove, and the Bohemian Club in general, has come in for its fair share of criticism over the years, mostly due to what some people see as sexist policies. No woman has ever been a full member in the club's 150-year history, and female staff aren't employed at Bohemian Grove in any capacity. Unless you believe the rumour that the club's prepared to relax its gender policies when it comes to prostitutes. When the club was first formally charged with discrimination in 1978, they fought back, arguing that their members wouldn't be able to urinate as openly and liberally as they wanted to if women were present at Bohemian Grove. The court ruled in their favour. That decision was eventually overturned, but the Bohemian Club did the litigatory equivalent of asking to see the judge's manager by filing an appeal with the California Superior Court. At the subsequent trial, they argued that being male should be considered an occupational qualification. And since most women struggle mastering the skill of having a penis, they simply aren't qualified to work at the Grove. The court, once again, ruled in the club's favour. The world's changed quite a bit in the last 40 years, hasn't it? Oh, I should probably mention that the California Superior Court judge who reached this somewhat controversial decision, was known to have attended Bohemian Club events on several occasions. But I'm sure that had absolutely nothing to do with this decision whatsoever. Bohemian Grove ends every year as it began, with an elaborate performance. Though thankfully no children, real or otherwise, are burnt in this one. Instead, a majestic redwood-rimmed arena with seating for up to 2,000 people, roughly the same capacity as London's Royal Opera House, hosts an end-of-camp performance known as the Grove Play. Written and performed exclusively by Grove Club members and supported by a full orchestra and production team. It's reported that Grove plays, which are only ever performed a single time, can cost upwards of $150,000 to stage. Oh, and since no women are allowed to become members of the club, any female characters are played by men in drag. The Oxford English Dictionary defines a bohemian as an artist, literary man, or actor who leads a free, vagabond, or irregular life. And I don't know about you, but George Bush Sr. isn't the first person that springs to mind when I hear the word vagabond. I'm not the only one who's picked up on this little contradiction either. When Oscar Wilde visited the Bohemian Club in 1882, he was heard commenting that he'd never seen so many well-dressed, well-fed, business-looking bohemians in all his life. Despite the somewhat optimistic branding, there's no doubt the Bohemian Club and its 2-week urination orgy in California will continue to capture the public's imagination for as long as it exists. There's just something inherently intriguing about so many important people gathering under such unusual circumstances to do all these bizarre things. We normals have always been interested in how the other half lives. Although I think it's safe to say that up until now, most of us assumed it was more Learjets and mansions than ritual burnings and drag. So, is Bohemian Grove a place where a bunch of old white guys in various states of midlife crisis go to recapture their lost college days? Or the hub of an Illuminati-like organisation with a penchant for burning babies? I'll leave that up to you. Oh, and one last conspiracy theory for you before I go. This is the US Capitol building, seen from above. Notice anything strange? It looks a bit like an owl, right? Some people believe that's a quiet nod to the Bohemian Club, right in the heart of Washington, DC. And, intriguingly enough, the current design for the grounds was drawn up in 1874, 2 years after the Bohemian Club was founded. Of course, back then, the club was literally no more than a bunch of journalists with no power whatsoever. But hey, why let the truth get in the way of a good conspiracy? Thanks for watching. Good news, you can now pre-order my new book, Bread and Circuses, What Did the Romans Ever Do for Us? It's a wild and witty journey for 1,000 years of unexpected Roman history. Told in a refreshing way and packed full of incredible and unbelievable stories. Copies are selling out fast, so pre-order yours today to lock it in. Thank you.